Welcome again to another episode of our Youth Soccer Coaches webinar, hosted by me, Craig Scott. I'm pleased to have Kelly Peaurt. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said it right. I'll let you off.
Yes. You would never guess that she's actually a friend, but she's going to discuss coaching in the US. The mic should be off as you've come in, so I'd appreciate if you keep them off to avoid background noises. As I say every single time, you can find us on Twitter at Youth Soccer Coaches, Facebook at Youth Soccer Coaches, and our website www.youthsoccercoaches.com. Just going to admit another two people in and try and talk to you at the same time.
You can still see the screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, all good. Please use hashtag YSC Live on Twitter if you're going to give us any feedback, because this really helps us gauge your feedback and responses, and it's really helpful for us moving forward. This coming Monday, so after Kelly's spoken, we are pleased to have Vincent Stanley to discuss why the multi-sport athlete is successful in sports, academics, and life. Vincent is a presenter, author, mentor, life coach, and founder of Balanced Excellence. I'm going to add another 3 people in. As ever, we would appreciate if you would use the chat function. So you could use the chat function directly to me, or you can just put it in the group chat. Any comments, any questions, it's all appreciated, and I'll pick them up at the end. Right now, I'm going to hand over to Kelly, and she will take you through her presentation. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. Welcome to the presentation, everyone. I'll get started straight away. My name is Kelly Peaurt. I've been a coach in America since 2012. So I've worked in 2 separate clubs. The first one was Chicago Northwind, which was my very first club in America. And the second one is my current one, AYSO 300 United, which is the same one. If you were on the call a couple of weeks ago, the same one that Dean Arrowsmith was on with the mental health in soccer presentation. The company I work for right now is called Community Athletic Solutions. I've basically been working with them and with their boss since 2012. So most of my experiences are going to come from that standpoint, but I have in the presentation included a couple more companies that are also options for you to get over to America. We'll get straight into it. So my progression over the years. So when I first came to America, I'd been working in Mexico at the time, and I'd been working in an academy. So I'd never worked in America before. I got an opportunity to come over, and I started at Chicago Northwind, which is a travel club in basically the center of Chicago. I started out as a team trainer. I was working with 4 different teams. I then was put in charge of setting up a goalkeeper development program. My position is as a goalkeeper. I have been a goalkeeper all my life. So my coaching standpoint, I've got my goalkeeper licenses as well. So when they found that out, they wanted to implement that within our program. And that's obviously something that if you go to work in a club as well, if you have these different qualifications, let them know, because they will want to utilize all the skills that you have. I've set up the AYSO 418 high school program. Basically, in a travel club, some of them are linked to a region. So this region was AYSO 418. It had 1,800 kids at the time, but it never had a high school program. So once kids who didn't make their high school teams, once they didn't make it, they didn't have anywhere to go. So we set that up to get them a little bit more soccer so that they stayed in the game, basically. I stayed there for 5 years and then came home for a year just to reset. And then I came over to AYSO Region 300, which is the one I'm at now. Again, it's a similar kind of vein. I started as a team trainer. I'd set up the goalkeeper development program. But the difference between these 2 clubs was AYSO Region 300 was still growing at the time. So we actually ended up setting up a club philosophy, and we had FA Ireland come over and had them help us create an age-specific curriculum and philosophy that if any of you are interested, I can send over to you as a guide or a document as well. And very recently, I've been put in charge of club admin as well. One big thing, and I will go through it during the presentation as well, is you're not just in America just to coach. You can actually get your badges as well. You can get more coaching badges that your club and the company you work for may help you obtain as well. So that's definitely something, if you're interested in getting better as a coach and not just coaching, developing as well, there is that option. So there are different programs in the USA, and this is where we go into kind of how we get there, what we offer. The first one are summer camps, and I will go into that as well. The summer camps are where you're probably going to have the most fun. That is with different traveling all over America, depending on the company that you're with as well. The fall, the summer, the spring, again, I've already mentioned summer, but the fall and the spring refers to working within a club. So like I've been doing at the moment, you have the fall program, you split for the summer, and then you move into the spring program as well. There is potential for winter work as well. It obviously all depends on your visa. If you have the correct visa, it depends on your club as well, what they want to get out of it. Summer camps. I'll just pop all these down for you. Oh. That's weird. Okay, so summer camps. Generally speaking, you go from June to August. It's very, very intense. It's not, you don't just sit back on your laurels and do nothing. It's a very, very intense few months that you're working out there. You're working Monday through Friday, you're working some Saturdays as well, but you're working predominantly in different locations every week. So it's not just the same place, the same kids, the same club every week. You're moving around. So just be mindful of that. If you're offered a summer camp program, you are going to be traveling around and experiencing different parts of America. Half camp, full camp. So there's the option just to do morning camps. Some clubs do this, some regions do this, but then there's also the full camp as well, which you'll get paid for. So don't worry, if you get offered a summer camping internship or a position, if you're doing half camp, you'll get paid for the half camp. If you're doing full camp, you'll get paid for the full camp. You will be rewarded financially for that. Competitive pay, I've just gone into. The biggest difference, I think, especially from working in England to working in America, is you are going to be living with different host families. You're not being put up in hotels every week. You're being put in with a family that is willing to host you. For me, this is the best part of the summer. It is where you get to experience different families. The families take you everywhere. They don't just offer you a room. You're part of the family. You're part of what they're doing. So everything they do, you do as well. So once you finish work, it's not just trying to work out what you're going to do for the rest of the day. They will have something for you. And that, for me, is the greatest part of being a summer camp coach, is you're all in. Everything you do, you're all in. I explained to Craig earlier, the picture that you see on the right-hand side, that is part of camp too. You have to have fun. You have to be silly sometimes. The more you let yourself just be free and allow yourself to have fun, the more fun the kids are going to have. So that's obviously something that you can think about moving forwards as well. We'll go on to the next part. I've mentioned it a little bit already, but depending on the company you're with, you will be traveling all across the United States. I have traveled to 5 or 6 different states now with my company. I've predominantly stayed in Chicago during the fall and the spring season, but during the summer, you're traveling. And again, you're not just traveling on your own, you're traveling with coaches. So you're getting to know a lot of other coaches, you're getting to know a lot of different places, and you get to experience these places. Once your camp is done for the day, you get to go out and you get to enjoy what these different cities and states have to offer. You're working with a wide range of different coaches and kids. So I've obviously mentioned the coaches already, but kids, from the kids' standpoint, you could be working with 5-year-olds one week, you could be working with 17-year-olds the next week. There's and everything in between. You're not just set with one group of kids, it's everyone. Recreational travel camps. So recreational camps are the camps where you're going to be expected to have more fun with the kids. You're expected to have silly little activities, but obviously they are still there to learn about the game of soccer as well. It's not just about having fun. The travel camps, so I've mentioned before the travel teams. The travel teams are like our academy teams in England or pre-academy teams in England. So these travel camps are where you're expected to put a little bit of extra effort into your coaching, into your session plans, because these are kids that want to be there and want to progress and want to get better, ready for when their season starts up again in the fall. Regardless of the company you're with, whether it's Community Athletic Solutions or Challenger or UKIS, you'll get full kit provided for you. You get the equipment, so you're never going to go with nothing. And it's also good to mention in there, you get a car as well. You either get a car for yourself or you share a car. So everywhere you travel, you're not just traveling in a car on your own, you're together, which then makes the summer camp experience even better than it would have been. Obviously, if there's any questions, I'm going through this quite quickly, I think. If there's any questions, please just put it in the chat and we'll get to them at the end as well. So if you get a fall and the spring contract, so this is where you're working within a club. I'll just bring these all forward. This is where you're working within a club. There are different types of clubs. There are recreational clubs, again, where it's all about having fun, developing the kids, putting on different clinics. So Houston Dash and Dynamo are a good example of this. The Houston Dash and Dynamo are the professional men's and women's team in Houston. Their recreational side is where they have the kids that are up and coming. And then the travel team is where you're working with the kids that they're better, basically. They're better kids. Clinics, again, you could be working in a travel team, but you could be expected to run clinics for the local community as well. You're not just working for the club, you're working for the community. And that's something that's really important to mention. And I will get onto it a little bit more as well, further in the presentation. Travel clubs, it says it in the name, but you're going to be traveling around your local area, playing different teams, but there's also the opportunity to work in out-of-state tournaments. So we went to, my first year, I think it was to Alabama we went to, and Arizona. So you do get the opportunity to travel with your clubs as well, if your team is good enough. And as I've already mentioned, if you're working for a club, again, I keep using the term, you're all in. They care very much about you, but they also care very much about what you have to offer to the kids. And if there are any coaching badges or licenses or courses that you think could benefit you or they think could benefit you, they will put you on them. They want to develop you as much as you want to develop the kids. Obviously, the better you get, the better coaching the kids are going to get. So it's like a good trade-off there. Again, generally speaking, and this is from a Community Athletic Solutions standpoint, you're usually living with a host family for the season. My very first year in Chicago, I lived with a host family for 2 years. That's not to say that you will too. You could be living with 2 or 3 different host families throughout the year, but you are living with a host family, so you've got to be mindful of that. You're not going to come over and have your own apartment. You're with a host family because, number one, it's cheaper, but number two, you get the better experience because you're living with people who know the area, who know what to do, where to go, where to have fun. Again, you either have your own car or you have a shared car. If you don't have a driver's license, which I didn't for the first 4 years, you're not going to be stuck. one of the coaches in your club is going to have a car and can get you around to places, so you don't have to worry about getting a driver's license before you go over there. The biggest difference between just the summer and the fall and the spring is it's not just coaching when you're working in a club. Nothing is off limits. And as you might have guessed from I think my second slide in, you could be asked to do anything, and you should be expecting to help with uniforms, painting fields if you need to, admin work, anything that needs to be done, you do. It's as simple as that. And you're appreciated more for it as well. It's not just you need to do this, you need to do that. You do get appreciated a lot by your club and by the people in your club. The bottom point, I think, is, again, really, really important to mention is you're not just a football coach. You know, in England, you're just a coach. You won't walk down the street and people recognize you. In America, the culture is completely different. You're not just a football coach, you're part of the community and you're a role model within your community, and you should act accordingly. I was saying to Craig just before we started, my first year I started in the club, and on a Saturday, the 1,800 kids in the region used to play. So I used to go down and watch them play. And you'd be walking from field to field to field, and it's, "Hi, Coach Kelly, how are you, Coach Kelly?" You feel like the mayor. And that's just, regardless of who you are, that is what happens. You're a football coach. You're part of something bigger than just your club. And I think it's brilliant. It's one of the best experiences that you can get. And the last kind of point to mention is, in England, again, I keep doing the England-America differences, but in England, you're generally not expected to, or it's frowned upon if you go to these end-of-season parties, pizza parties, if you go over to a parent's house. In America, that's kind of expected. You're not just there to coach, you're there to be a part of the kids' lives, and to know the parents. You've got to know every parent's name, every kid's name. It is an all-encompassing, all-in thing, and it's brilliant. The experience you get is just brilliant. So obviously I've told you what you can expect, but there's also what we expect of you going forward as well. And you'll have seen these types of words before. I will go through them in a little bit of detail if I need to. Obviously, hardworking. As I've mentioned, especially during the summer, it is hard work. You're up early in the morning, you're going to the fields, you're setting things up. At a time like this with COVID, it's going to be even harder, because you've got to make sure that protocols are maintained. You've got to make sure that the kids are safe, that you're safe, that all of the health and safety aspects are covered. It is hard work, but it does pay off. Being open-minded. So when I was working in Mexico, when I came from Mexico to America, I expected the kids that I was going to be working with to be world beaters. I don't know why, I just expected it. My first session ever in America was a group of 12-year-olds. They're in high school and above now, but a group of 12-year-olds, and 2 of them couldn't kick a ball properly. And I had to completely change my approach and my mindset to kind of accommodate for this. So go in there not expecting anything. Go in there with an open mind, because you never know what you're going to come across. Organization, you have to be organized, especially if you're working within a travel club. You've got to know what you're working on 2 or 3 days in advance. For some clubs, they expect you to have a season-long program or a week-long program. You've got to have goals to hit. If you're not organized, you get found out very quickly. You have to be organized. Dedicated goes again into you will do whatever you can to help the club. If you show your dedication, it pays off. The club are willing to go above and beyond for you. Respectful, don't really need to talk about that. Everyone needs to be respectful at all times anyway. Going above and beyond. Again, if you throw your whole being into working in a club, you will reap the benefits. People will see that you want to help, that you want to develop the club and develop the kids, and you will be rewarded for it. adaptable. This is the biggest one for us at the moment. I was in America. I'm currently in England, but I was in America when the pandemic hit, and we got completely shut down, as most clubs did. And being able to adapt to that was very hard at the start. We went from outdoors being, club teams all together to literally virtual, where we had to come up with virtual training sessions. We had to do it with the kids. We had to have virtual lessons, basically, like tactical lessons. So being able to adapt, I think, and this is a skill not just for football, it's for everything. Being able to adapt to the situation you're in is really, really important. And if you're adaptable, the club will feel better and more at ease giving you things to do and making you a better person, basically. So, ways to get over to the USA. The one I'm going through at the moment is I have started a master's degree that requires a work placement. So that is how we get our visa at the moment. There are different companies that offer placements and that are linked with different universities to allow you to go over to America. And I will get into that in a couple of slides. Again, work-based internships. So this is more based on summer camp stuff. And again, I'm going through this kind of not very broadly. Obviously, different companies have different ways of getting you over to America, and the companies I'm going to get onto in a couple of slides are the ones that you need to look into more detail and see the one that works for you. Summer camp counselor, again, that is the easiest way to get over to America to start with. And I think if you're looking at potentially going to America and you want to go there for a longer period of time, get yourself into a summer camp first. Get to know America, get to know the culture, the feel of it, see if it works for you before then committing. And obviously, again, with the summer camp stuff, it gives your company an opportunity to see how you work in action. And the more that they can see you work, the more that they know, okay, this person belongs in this club, this person would do well in this club. So get yourself out for the summer. You're not only going to have a whale of a time, because it's absolutely brilliant, but it also, again, it gives you and your company the opportunity to see how things work, basically. Again, there may be more ways to get over to America. I've just given you 3. Different companies offer different things. So really do your research. Look into it a little bit more. This is, once you get an offer from a company, this is what you may expect with the visas. So initially, you'll have the interview with the company. Generally, over at a time like this, it'll be over Skype or Zoom. For some companies, and I know with CAS and I think with Challenger as well, you go and do a practical day where some of the more experienced coaches who've worked in America for a while come over and they witness you doing some coaching sessions, and then obviously they give you an evaluation. At a time like this, when we can't travel, that's very difficult. So it will generally be an interview over Skype or Zoom. After you get your contract, make sure you sign it. You should get an email then with a list of what you need to complete to get ready to book the visa. The visa booking is fairly simple, as long as you have all the right paperwork, which your company will help you with. And then it's just a case of booking the visa. I say at your nearest US embassy. I used to go to Ireland to do mine, but again, with the pandemic at the moment, that may not be possible. So I would recommend you book it at your nearest US embassy, just because you have a better chance of being able to go there and travel there. Once you've booked it, you then obviously turn up. So on the day, turn up early. Generally speaking, and I don't know what it's like this year because I haven't gone to get my visa interview yet. Generally speaking, there's a massive queue to get in because everyone wants visas. If you get there early, it means you get in, you get out. And it shows a little bit more willingness as well. My biggest bit of advice to you is first impressions matter in here. So look presentable, act accordingly, please and thank yous, you know, just make sure that you're setting a good example and making a good first impression, because the person on the other end of the visa interview is the one that's going to let you know and decide whether you can go to America or not. So make sure that you're offering the best impression, basically. And again, going back to being organized, have all your documents ready. Once you book the visa interview, it'll tell you what you need. Bring it all, have it ready, have it out, show that this is what you want. Again, it just goes back to creating a good first impression. And follow all directions, that's a given. Follow all directions given by the agents at the embassy. Second biggest piece of advice, I know I keep giving you lots of advice here, but when you hand over your passport and before you hand over your passport, make sure you have the correct address for the passport to be sent back to you. You don't take your passport away that day. You give it to them, they stamp the visa in the book, and then they send it off. The visa gets printed in the book and then it gets posted back to you. Just make sure that you have the correct address on there. It sounds silly, but it has happened before where they've had the wrong address and it's been a nightmare. So just make sure that you're triple checking everything. So the companies to look into, again, everything I've spoken to you about today has been from a community athletic solutions standpoint, because that is the company that I've been working with. It has a lot of pros, but I don't want to discredit the other companies as well. Community Athletic Solutions, you've got Challenger Sports, which again, they offer pretty much the same thing as Community Athletic Solutions. They offer visas, they offer summer camps, they offer club camps as well, and club programs, and UK International Soccer. So UKIS, you might have heard of before. They have a direct link with the University of South Wales at the moment. So as I said to you before, that one way of getting over to America is through getting a degree and having a placement. The bachelor's degree, which is directly linked with University of South Wales, they are directly in correlation with UKIS. So you go on that degree, you have the opportunity to go over to America to work. So that is a good one to look up. They also offer a master's degree at University of South Wales, and that's the one that I'm doing at the moment. The difference between the two is when you're doing a master's degree, you're not linked to just one, you're not pigeonholed into one club or one company. You can pick any company as long as they can get you the placement, basically. And obviously, again, I'm going through this quite quickly. If you do have any questions about any of that, please do let me know. And that's pretty much the end of what I had to say. These are just some pictures from a lot of the years that I've been working over in America. Some of them are camps, some of them are just my teams. The bottom left and the middle one, that was from this year. You'll notice most of us are wearing our masks. You know, it's, if you're thinking about moving over to America and coming over, do it. Just do it. Just go and do it, because you will have the best time. You'll have the best opportunities to progress. You will enjoy yourself. You will learn a lot. You'll make friends for life. And one thing that I didn't really go into, but I think is important to talk about, is with the host families, make the most of it. Make the most of the time you have with them, because that is where you're going to have the most fun. Last year during the pandemic, when things kind of opened up a little bit, I went camping with a host family that I'd had 2 years ago. I've traveled to Philadelphia to visit a host family that I've had before. It's just make the most of every opportunity you have over there, because it's just brilliant. That's all I can say really about it.
Thanks, Kelly. That was brilliant. There are questions I'm going to come back to very shortly.